Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching and or listening. Today, we're going to talk about building your financial home as a young professional. So we have today Paul. Paul's new to our team. If you haven't seen him around, Paul, say hello to the people.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here. Excited to talk about, financial foundation, where your money should go first as a young professional.
Yeah. So the whole goal right now is just to work on building your financial house, having a solid foundation, having good practices, so your future self can thank you. So let's get into it, Paul. So let's say, I know you work with a lot of folks in this space. Someone just got their, like their first like real high paying, high income job, and now they have a little bit extra money. And they're trying to say, okay, like I have this extra cash flow, I'm getting stock options. When we build their foundation, like what is the first step? Like what is the most important thing?
Yeah, so people who are new in the industry, new to a role, oftentimes it's not a money problem, it's an order problem.
Mm,
Where are they putting their money? One of the first things we like to establish with professionals or someone new to a role is that emergency fund, typically 3 to 6 months of fixed expenses.
okay.
This isn't for investing, it's for protection. This way, if an emergency does come up down the line, it's not an emergency, it's just an inconvenience for them.
Yep. Yep. And also, I'd like to point out 3 to 6 months of expenses. That's not a credit card limit, right?
No, no.
Dollars in your account. That means you could write a check from it. Very different.
Yep.
And so let's say they got the 3 to 6 months, right? And they're like, all right, I got the 3 to 6 month. I'm ready to take the next step. So what is level number two on the financial house?
Yeah, so this one, it's going to depend on the company, but if they have a 401k option with their employer, what we're going to do is we're going to at least go up to the match at the bare minimum. So the match is one of those things, one of the very rare things in finance that's a guarantee.
Yep.
The money you put in, you're instantly going to get a return back, whether it's 50%, sometimes 100%. It's one of the rare things that get an instant return. If we don't take advantage of that, we're just leaving money on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't leave the money on the table, right? If your employer is offering dollars to you to contribute to your 401k, don't leave the money on the table.
Exactly.
Like, if you, I don't know about you, if I see a dollar on the ground, I'm stopping and
I'm
picking
picking it up.
Yeah. All right. So just building a house, right? So we laid the foundation. We have our emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of your expenses, right?
Mhm.
Fixed. And then now we have our match, right? If you're lucky enough, your employer's giving you a free dollar for every time you invest, up to a certain percentage, right? We're doing that. We're saving for retirement. Now, what is the next step?
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at a lot of the young professionals I work with. They're just come out of college, so we have some high interest debt that we're going to take care of. We like to refer this as the drag, because it's oftentimes better than investing to eliminate that debt that's holding us back. It's guaranteed negative return essentially, so we want to knock that out as fast as we can, just to make sure it's the investments that we're doing over time are really growing.
Yeah. And that's a good point too, because although it does sometimes become a balancing act, it's like becomes, or some folks like to say, becomes more of an art than a science.
Yeah.
Where we hear a lot of folks, even not even young professionals, sometimes we hear it with like unfortunately like retired people who are pre-retirees or mid-career, where they're like, hey, I still have all this debt. Should I be focusing on my investing for my future? Should I be paying it down? And in your younger income years, of course, you want to save, you want to invest for your retirement, but you also want to tackle that debt as much as you can without ruining your other goals.
Yeah.
Because if it's high interest, it's just going to get higher and higher, as you get it. Like we all saw that clip of that poor woman. She had student loan. She was paying for like 10 years, and she like knocked off like $3,000 off the principal or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have emergency fund. That's obviously the foundation. That's going to protect you from the short-term emergencies. We're taking advantage of the match in the 401k if you have that opportunity. Now we're managing debt, right? We're not spending all our cash flow on your debt, but we're managing. We have a sound plan to pay it down. What is step number four, right? If someone is, you know, fortunate enough to have additional income beyond that, which
Mhm.
we do work with a lot of those
Yeah.
folks in different industries, attorneys, or just young hotshot executives. What would be step number 4?
Yeah, so a lot of times, one of the main things we're investing in is going to be a Roth, whether it's Roth IRA or Roth 401k. Oftentimes, with the young professionals I work with, they're in their lower income earning years,
Hmm.
which puts them below the income threshold to actually contribute to a Roth. With this, the benefit of the Roth is that it is tax-free growth. And when you retire, this is one of the few accounts that you could actually pull out tax-free. So, it's creating flexibility later and tax diversification for our clients, really just maximizing the benefit of such a good investment vehicle.
Yeah, yeah, and that's an important thing as well. If you're a young professional and you just have a high acceleration of potential income in your future,
Yep.
your window to contribute to your Roth IRA may be shorter than you think. We've
Yeah.
had some folks who they max it out one year, and the next year we plan to max it out, and they're like, oh wait, actually we're above that threshold.
Hmm.
So that's very important. And I'm going to look up just the current limits. This is 2026, so this isn't tax advice, legal advice. Listen to the disclaimer. But the Roth IRA income limit for 2026 is $153,000 and $242,000 for married couples. There's kind of a window where it phases off, but just that ballpark. So the good thing about a Roth as well is you can contribute for prior year. So if you're on that, the borderline, you're not too sure how much income you'll have, wait until the year's over.
Mhm.
We have a lot of folks who fund their Roth IRAs before tax time for the prior year because they're right at that line. So if you have your emergency fund, you've got your 401k match, you're managing your debt. Now you're also maxing out your Roth IRA, and then you're still looking to get to the 5th step. What should people think about when they have the resources to deploy more capital?
Yeah, so this is what we like to refer to as the flexibility bucket or the brokerage account. The brokerage account is where there's no restrictions. You could access it before retirement. Essentially, it's a place for us to put money if we want to use it for a larger purchase. So a down payment on a house, even a vacation that you're planning for, sometime down the road, a car. This is where we really just bridge that gap before retirement,
Mm.
where we could use these funds, creates flexibility, but also, gives us purpose and goals and buckets to put some of the desires we have.
Yeah, and that's a good point because the 401k, the Roth IRA, within most they have exemptions, but most of those you can't access to your 59 and a half, right? So those are designated retirement accounts. So investing into a brokerage account that you can just access down the line for whatever you need, that provides flexibility. Um, and I'll also take this time to get on the soapbox, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Uh, Paul didn't say anything about investing in any sort of annuity or insurance, IUL, or tax-free retirement. That's weird.
No, no.
No, yeah. All right. So if you're a young professional out there, you don't have dependents, and someone is telling you you should be putting all that extra money into some form of insurance product, red flag. And I know that wasn't a point you wanted to bring up, Paul, but you know what?
It's a good
I'm
one.
here, and I said it anyway. So, uh, so any closing points, any things to think about as we sign off here?
Yeah, a lot of young professionals I work with, they're making a lot of money. They have a lot of ideas of where they want to put the money. It's not about just to make money. It's about to put the money to work in the right sequence. There's steps to follow just so we make the right choices. And these things compound. The one thing leads to another. The emergency fund saves you from, a big disaster down the road.
Yeah.
And it compounds just like that. The match goes a long way. Again, money left on the table. And the rest of the accounts as well. All these things create flexibility and it really creates the financial foundation for your life.
Yeah, yeah. Optionality is always key. So appreciate everyone for listening. If you have any questions or like us to talk about anything else, please let us know.